you play the 10 or the jack. And
That's where you get it. The question is, I'm gonna tell you, you always play the 10.
Yeah, okay, it says 10 or jack, yeah.
Right.
Okay, and then on 2, you're playing the 10, and then on 3, you play the 4. I'm like, what the heck?
Okay, so let me just see here. All right, so on each of the layout, we're on page 165, exercise 3. On each of the layouts, declarer leads the 2 towards dummy. Okay, so they're gonna finesse. All right, Mike. Okay, so they play the 2. So what they're saying is that you want to split your honors, and to ensure that you get hopefully a trick of this suit. So they're saying the 10, and if you see, if you play the 10 and the queen is played, your partner gets the ace, and you have promoted for your side the jack.
All right, now go down to number 3 now.
Okay, number 3. Number 3, well, there's the king and the queen there. Now, it's quite possible that they might finesse the 9, but you don't really get anything by putting the 10 in there, because they can win the queen, and now your partner gets his ace, but still, your declarer can come back and redo it again. So if you put the 10 in there, they'll play the queen, but then now they know, kind of have an idea where the jack is. They might lead the next time towards the 9.
Because the dummy has king, queen, that changes the calculus?
It does, it does, it does. So there's really no reason to insert a thing in there. If they're gonna finesse the 9, they're gonna get, whatever anyway. And chances are not likely that they're gonna finesse the 9 in that situation. And you don't really gain anything by putting your 10 in there, because they can just come and do the same thing and get you jack the next time. So on that particular situation, when you don't see any reason to promote something, it's best to just play second-hand ball. Okay? Did that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Did anybody else have any questions? Joanne?
Yeah, the next page, please. Exercise 4. I do not understand 3.
So let me just see that. If you cover an honor when the jack is left for dummy. Okay. Okay. Well, the idea is, they're saying, now I would not cover the first one. I would not cover it till we get further down. But what they're saying is, if you play the jack and you play the king, they play the ace, you have created a trick for your side with the queen. Now, I would not play the king on the first one. So what does it say here? So when you lead the jack, you should play low. Okay? Because when you're, an idea of covering an honor with an honor is they've already got the 10 there, so you can't really see promoting too much for your side by covering, because they've got the jack, but they got the 10, the 9, and the 8. All right? If it was jack out there just sitting out there by himself, right? Like if you take a look at number 1, the difference between number 1 and number 3.
Yes.
So on number 1, when they play the jack, you should cover with the queen.
Okay.
Okay? There's nothing there in dummy. So you're hoping by covering an honor with an honor that you are promoting a trick for your side. Now there's no guarantee, because your partner has a 10. It could easily be that the declarer has a 10. But what you go with is just, well, this is what I need to do, and hope. So you would you would play the jack, you would cover with the queen, he would play the king, but now take a look, your partner's 10 is promoted. Because declarer can now play his ace, but then when he plays his third one, your partner's 10 will win the trick.
Got it. Yes.
If you look on number 3, when you can see the jack, the 10, the 9, and the 8,
Yes.
if you cover, you are not promoting too much for your side. What you're doing is helping the declarer promote his 10 and his 9 and his 8. Does everybody see that? So that's the difference.
We were assuming that this is that Trump and.
Well, it doesn't really make a difference whether it's Trump or no Trump. I mean,
in this case where the declarer has just a doubleton in his hand, and if it was a side suit, then you'd want to promote your queen as soon as possible.
well, again, I still wouldn't do it, because you're going to end up promoting tricks for him. So assuming he's got other entries, okay? So even if you do, he plays the jack, you play the king, the ace, you've now promoted your partner's queen, okay? The 9 and the 8, or whatever 2 are left in dummy, are now good tricks.
Okay.
They have been promoted. So by you covering, you have helped promote 2 tricks for a declarer. Now, just because he doesn't have any in his hand, assuming he can get to dummy, he will now use those 2 tricks that you helped promote and discard something else in his hand that were your tricks. And that's what people fail to see a lot, is the fact that discarding from the declare, or discarding on one side or the other. Because those tricks that are discarded are usually your tricks. Yeah, let me just get back to you because there was one over here. Or are you still on the same one? Same one, okay.
Yeah, so let's just say the king holds up, and the guy with the ace says, I'm gonna let that jack ride. Partner should take it with the queen?
Yeah.
What the heck, right? Okay.
Okay, I mean, they're not gonna duck it, I can't imagine any reason to duck it, because they don't know where the king is, they don't know that you have it, you know, they're gonna take the queen at that point, but now, you can still hold up and hopefully prevent him from getting too many tricks in the suit. Okay, over here?
On page 173,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why the guy has 19 points. He bids a club, partner bids a spade. Why does he bid 2 no trump to show he has 18 or 19 points? Not 4 hearts, or 4 spades.
Well, because they have a fit.
Right, but when you bid 2 no trump, what if his partner has a ton of points?
Okay.
If I bid 4 spades, I would assume my partner's saying, look, that's it.
Oh, well, that's why that assumption is not correct. Okay, hold on. Let me get my pencil. That's a very good question. Okay, so the idea is 1 club pass, 1 spade pass. If this guy bids 4 spades, he has no right at all to tell his partner to shut up, because he doesn't know how many points his partner has. But what he is showing here is 19 points. So if his partner has more, he should go on, all right? Because this person has promised 6 plus. But the minimum he's promised, because he did speak, is 6, right? This guy knows that if he has 6, they belong in game. He shouldn't be pussyfooting around anywhere. He should bid 4 spades, because that says we have a spade fit, and with your 6 points, which is all you've told me you have, and my hand, we belong in game. Hence 19 points. Okay? So if this guy's got 6 points, he'll be happy. If he's got 14, he should continue going on, because we have 19 and 14 is definitely slam. Okay?
And then he goes to black with it or something?
Something.
So the 2 no trump bid is reserved for when you don't have a fit in the suit
Correct.
that's been bid.
Correct. 2 no trump. And again, the 2 no trump bid, well, in the books it says 18 to 19. Okay, you don't bid 2 no trump. It's generally, again, depending on how you value your hand, but the 18 points, because if you have 19, right, and your partner has bid knowing 6, generally the bid would be 3 no. Because while 2 no is highly invitational, if your partner squeaked out their 6-point bid, they may pass. It is not a forcing bid. It's a highly invitational bid, which is why if you've got 19, a lot of people will bid 3 no trump, not giving their partner an option. Does that make sense? So again,
Yeah, I guess.
well, if you just think it logically, okay, because it's about points. When your partner has only promised 6, and I bid 2 no trump, he might not bid again, because 18 and 6 is not 25. Not in my math anyway, okay? So again, now, if you play certain conventions, people use the 2 no trump to allow this person to show more than 4 spades, okay? But again, you have to play those conventions for it to kick in. So generally, the 2 no is 18 to like what you might consider a bad 19. It's 19, but you know, it's not really the greatest hand in the world. So then you can temper it down a bit 2 no trump and hope you put bits. But generally, the 2 no trump bid is like kind of 18.
Okay.
Okay, all right. And you want to show, you're showing, by doing the 4 spades, you were showing the points, the 19 points, but this time you're showing the fit. If you bid 2 no, you're denying the fit. So you're denying the 4 spades. Okay? And generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, when you have a golden fit and you're in a suit contract, you will generally play 1 trick more. So it might make 3 no trump but 4 spades. If which is the difference, 20 points, which is the difference between a good board and maybe not so good.
So responder in that case, I should always count on the opening bidder to have 19 points when he goes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, because otherwise he shouldn't do it. This is showing 19 points. Now, again, it can be support points. It doesn't have to be high card points, you know. You get your void in there or something like that. But, you know, it is 19 points, yeah. Otherwise, don't do it. And again, we're going to do a little bit of a bidding review at the end of this chapter, actually. But again,
That's four spades and four spades and 19 points.
right, because he's only promised 4 spades and 6 points. All right. So, but again, when your partners, you've opened, you know, a club, let's say, and they've bid a spade. All right. So again, the 2 spades is the minimum. Okay. Both of these show 4 spades. He's promised 4 spades because he's only promising 4. You might hope. Remember, if you get okay. Point count. So if you bid 2 spades and this guy's got 8 points, hopefully he will not raise you to 3. All right, because 8 at a minimum, you're not going to game. Does. Partners. One spade, 1 heart. Which is 6 to 9. With 6 points. And not as a response. Again. Decide what to do. Okay. Does that make sense? Anybody have any other questions about that? That's a very important topic. And
Many times you get passed out.
well, you know,
So-
you can't do anything about people who haven't quite learned how to bid properly. All we can do is try to help them learn how to bid properly. But if you start worrying that your partner's going to pass, so you're going to do it, then the entire partnership breaks apart. You know, you both have to learn, which is why it's important for everybody to come to class and to work on their game together. And ask questions. I never mind a question. Email me if you have a question. But it's really important that both sides communicate, because if one side's always talking and not listening, you don't get very far. At least not far enough, you know? And I'm gonna bring up one question that was brought up over here, just since we're doing a little bidding review real quick. As there was some kind of questions about how many cards in a suit. I actually did an entire clinic on that one time. How many cards? But if this person opens a club and they bid one heart or one spade, right? How many cards do they promise in that suit?
4.
4, right? They might have more, but they only promise 4. So you, as the opener, should assume the minimum. So don't support unless you have 4, a golden fit. We're going to put it here. Now we're going to change it. How many pieces of hearts does this promise? 5. The difference is opener, responder, overcaller, advancer. Okay? When your partner has opened the bidding, as far as you know, you're continuing in your search for your golden major fit, because that's what we do in bridge, right? So you will bid one heart or one spade with 4, hoping your partner has 4 and you have the golden fit, right? When there's been an overcall, the situation is different. First of all, we don't know how many points he has, right? He has 8 to 17, and that's a pretty big range. This is not a demand bid. You know, if we have 6 points and our partner has opened and this guy has passed, we must bid something in case he has that 19-point hand, right? But in this case, our partner has simply overcalled. Now, he might have 17 points, doesn't have any more, all right? He might only have 8. But we do know he's got 5 diamonds because you don't overcall with less than 5, agreed? So in this time, we are now changing suit on an overcall. And changing suit on an overcall is different than when your partner opened. Here he suggested, I think I might want to compete in this suit. Here we have no idea. All right? So in order to bid our own suit over an overcall, we need 5.
So it's 5 diamonds and 5 hearts.
Correct. And we don't know. 3 or more clubs. Okay?
How many points would the one heart need?
Well, at least 6. Okay, at least 6. And again, they want to show their hearts in case, because we don't know how strong. We know it's 8 to 17.
Yes.
Right? Remember, no more than 17 for those of you who were at yesterday's bridge shot. And you should have at least 8. Okay? All right? That was just a little bidding review, which is at the end of the chapter. I kind of did it at the beginning.
Any of those bids forcing?
Well, this one is highly suggestive. It doesn't have to be forcing. The only truly forcing bid we could get in this would be a Q bid.
Okay.
But it's highly suggestive of continuing on. Okay? And if you're voiding hearts, please don't leave your partner there. That's not nice. Find something else to do. Okay? All right? Does that make sense? Any other questions about the homework from last week? Or? Okay. All right. Well, this is one of my favorite chapters because this is when we start to really talk. So what we've been doing so far is we talked about leading versus suit contracts and leading versus no trump, because that's your first opportunity to start your defensive plan in motion, right? And then we went into, second hand play and third hand play, second hand low, third hand high, and the reasons behind them and working together. Playing second hand low when the declarer has led from either dummy or their hand. Playing second hand low, hoping that your partner, who will play fourth and last, will be able to get the trick cheaper, conserving your high cards. And third hand high when your partner has led low and they're trying to promote something for you to come up high, to sacrifice one of your honors or take a trick, whatever, but in order to promote tricks for your side together, right? Working together. Chapter 5 is about signaling, and signaling gets really fun. All right? Now, some of you might be more experienced, might have bidding signals that you use already that are different than standard in this class because it's a more beginning class, for beginning defense. We're just using standard. We're just using standard signals, so if you don't use those, does anybody use first of all, does anybody use any signaling at all? Okay, fine, we're good, standard.
Does winking across the table?
That's considered cheating.
Oh,
Yes, that's not a
Okay.
Coughing.
All right. Now, there's 3 different types of signaling that you can do: attitude, count, and suit preference. I highly de-emphasize count at this level. So I'm just going to,
Okay, good.
Okay. So I'm going to just let you know what it is, but I will tell you, and personally, like me, I don't even use count. So that just shows you, and I do pretty okay. But, you know, a lot of the real experts do, but it's very confusing, and I find that when you start focusing on that, you don't focus on the stuff that's really important that we can control. So we are going to just kind of mention it and then move along, okay? But attitude and suit preference are very important, and we're going to focus on those, and those will come up, especially the attitude, all the time. You just don't realize, okay? And I think I mentioned to, I probably said it before in this class, but my very first bridge mentor, man who was very, very nice to me and really helped me along, so when we first started playing, he was really good and I barely knew what I was doing. But he saw something in me and he was very happy to do it. I'm very appreciative. Anyway, but he told me, he said, Deb, whatever you do, whenever you play a card, I want you to talk to me. As long as you do that, we'll do just fine. And I still do that to this day. So I want you to think about, I'm sorry, because he was really nice. Anyway, when you're playing the hand, instead of just automatically just like, well, I don't have any points and whatever, really concentrate on trying to tell your partner something, because the less points you have on defense, the more he has. So he's still depending on you to help out, okay? So when you play a card, whether you're discarding or your partner has led or whatever, try to think, what signal am I telling my partner? And if you do that, you will find that you will do well. Provided, the other side of it, that your partner pays attention, okay? So when you're playing now, not only should you think about what cards you play, but you should really try to pay attention to what cards your partner plays, all right? And you will find, because defense is the most fun, because bridge is a social game, and this is the only time you're working with your partner. When you're dummy, you're just waiting for the next hand, right? And when you're declaring, you're like, all this, I gotta make my plan before Deb says I didn't make my plan, you know? All right, but when you're on defense, you're working together, all right? And it's really fun. So I want to show a little bit about the different attitude signals. So we're gonna go on page 183, okay? And attitude is when your partner has led. And you want to tell your partner whether you like his lead or not, because you don't always. And sometimes you'll love it. How did you find that great lead? All right? Well, you have to tell your partner, because he might not know. Sometimes he might, but it really helps if you work together. Take a look on page 183, and here's an example. We're in some sort of a contract. Let's see, it's a no-trump contract, okay? And our partner has led the 3, okay? So first of all, let's just do our rule of 11. Does everybody remember the rule of 11? Mm-hmm. So 3 minus 11 is 8, correct? Mm-hmm. So that means that between dummy, us, and declarer, there are 8 cards higher than the 3 in this suit. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that the declarer has 3 cards higher than the 3 in this suit. We don't know what they are, but he knows it's got 3, okay? All right, but our partner, because he led low, he is leading from something. Do we all agree?
Yes.
Okay, good. So he's got something in there that he's leading, and he wants us to continue. All right, so let's say the declarer plays the ace. All right, because they're not going to mess around with this suit. So they're going to play the ace. All right, what card do we play? Well, do we like our partner's lead?
Yes.
Yes. So we have to tell him that we like his lead, which means if he gets in again, we would like him to continue leading the suit, because we have the king, right? So we would play the 9. Now, again, declarer won the ace, they're going to go on, but at some point, somebody's going to get in on the defense, we hope, right? And if a partner gets in and he saw our 9 on trick 1, then he should lead a low 1 back to our 9, our king, I'm sorry. And then we would take the last one, which would be the 2, and we'd lead it back, and hopefully we'd get a whole bunch of tricks on our declarers, on our partners hand. Does that make sense? Whereas if we didn't have the king, and we didn't, let's say we had the 6-9-2, the 9-6-2, right? Well, we don't really have anything to help our partner in this suit. We don't want him to lead it again to us, correct? So then when the declarer played the ace, we would put the 2 on, saying, partner, I can't help you with this one, all right? So this way, when he gets in, he's not gonna continue leading this suit and, expecting some help from you. He might lead it on his own, but he's not expecting any help from you. Does that make sense? So you have helped partner decide what to do in his and yours defensive plan, okay? And what they say here at the bottom, it's like low cards discourage, high cards encourage. Now again, this is standard. There are, as you get way past, and you're all getting your life masters and all that kind of stuff, you might find that you want to play different systems. There are different systems out there. We are teaching just standard because let's face it, if we can remember to discard properly and have our partner look at it, we are doing well. Do we all agree? So we're not getting fancy, we're doing standard. It works fine. Okay? So high cards encourage, low cards discourage. Now, one thing I want to point out, notice, this is completely different than leading. Leading is different. Leading, low, you want something, high, you don't. So it's completely opposite. So remember that. Leading is different than signaling. Okay? Make sense? Okay. All right, so let's take a look here on page 184, and 962, just the number of things. All right, so here your partner has led the 3, right? Again, declarer has come up with the ace. So declarer and your partner's hands have not changed, but yours. Dummy and your partner's hands have not changed, but your hand and the declarer's hand have. This time you don't particularly like his lead. So you would put the 2 on, saying, partner, I can't help you. Maybe try something else. I don't know. Does that make sense? All right, so you are helping your partner. And the person who led really should pay attention to this. Now, you will have some growing pains because your partner's going to screw up. Or they're going to signal perfectly and you forgot to look. All right? Don't give up. Work on it because your game will improve when you are working with your partner a lot. Steve and I, we defend really well, but we pay attention to every card. Doesn't happen automatically. You have to train yourself. And if somebody's mind goes, well, their defense just went right with it. But again, that's why we're doing this. It's fun. Okay?
How high is a high card?
Okay. Well, generally, any card higher than a 6 is considered high, and lower than a 6 is considered low. But again, you have to work with, and we've got some examples coming up that I'll show you. Sometimes, you have to do the lowest one you have, and if it's the 7, well, it's the lowest. And then hopefully you'll get a chance to discard the next time and put the 8 on, and your partner will know, oh, well, if he did 7, 8, his 7 was his lowest. He didn't like that, because sometimes, or sometimes you have the 3 and the 2, Yes.
Okay, so because you talk about working with your partner so much, I will lay the 2 down and go, don't like it, but my partner led it for a reason, so he likes it. And he's after declare, so do I also?
Well, it depends on what he led. So let's say he led 4 to the jack.
Okay. And the ace
Okay?
goes
If you
down.
put the 2 on, he's not going to continue to try to promote his jack.
Okay.
Because you said you don't like it, which means that if they play the ace and dummy, declarer has the king and the queen.
Right.
So maybe try another suit
That's
if you
good
get in.
information.
Okay? As you'll see, we'll have more and more examples, but you'll see it really does make sense. It works really well, as long as both sides are paying attention, okay? So if you take a look at the top of page 1, okay, let's see, they're in 4 hearts, and you lead the queen of spades. Page 185. I got my notes written over the page number, and this was hand 1 at one point, so I apologize. Yeah, page 185, underneath only. Tell declarers to take. Okay, anyway, so the contract's 4 hearts, and we've led the queen of spades, okay? Now, let's just take a look at, from declarer's point of view, are you gonna hold up and not play your ace? No, because somebody might have a singleton. Are you gaining anything by holding up? Not really. The only thing that could happen is somebody shows out and you lose it, right? So from a declarer's point of view, you don't really, you're going to take your ace at the first trip. Now, our plan is to pull trump, right? And as we can see, we want to set up diamonds in order to discard some of our losing spades. Does everybody see that? That would be my plan. I've made it pretty quick. I don't know, you might make it a little slower. Okay, but that would be my plan.
A lot slower.
Well, again, been doing it a while, okay? All right, but you can see that that would be the plan. Okay, so now, and in order to do that, West is going to get in with their ace of diamonds. So what they do when they get in with their ace of diamonds will depend on what information they got from their partner on the opening lead. So you led the queen, dummy played the ace. What card do you play as the you player? The 9. The 9. Does everybody see that? That was a good lead, partner. I like it. I want you to continue. You get back in. You keep with that suit. Okay? And you'll see some examples when you want to tell them no. All right? So declarer's probably going to pull the ace and the king. I'm hoping because, you know, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 9. So generally speaking, you're going to take your ace and your king. You find a bad split. So the defense is always going to get their queen of hearts, okay? So now you, as the declarer, pull 2 rounds of trump. There's no reason to pull a 3rd round because their queen is good whenever. So you will immediately start on the diamonds by playing high card from the short side, the jack, right? When West gets in with the ace, they know now to continue with spades. And if they do that, they will get the ace of spades, they will get the ace of diamonds, the queen of hearts, and they will get 2 spade tricks.
I am so confused because I don't know who, I mean, I know this says me,
Oh.
you, but then we start.
Okay, let me start with
talking
east.
on
Let me
the
start
declarer.
east, west, and north. That's much better.
Thank you, that would help me.
Okay, so West leads the queen of spades, okay? And East plays the 9 on the queen of spades because they have the king, they have help in this suit, they would like their partner to continue when they get in, if they get in, okay? So declarer, who is south, is going to win the ace of spades, go to their hand playing the ace and the king of hearts, that's the normal play, finding out that they are now going to lose the queen of hearts because it's over there and he had 3, right? So declarer now knows that they have to lose the queen of hearts and they're going to lose the ace of diamonds, but they're hoping that they can set up some diamond tricks in dummy, because they have the king, the queen, and the 10, to discard their 2 losing spades. Does everybody, do you see that? Does everybody see it? That would be declarer's plan. However, because our partner, East, signaled with the 9, when West gets in with the ace, they are going to continue diamonds. Spades. Sorry, English is a hard language. They're going to continue spades, which means they will get 2 spade tricks. In addition, with the ace of diamonds that they already won, and the queen of hearts that the East player is going to get at some point, is 4 tricks, which means down 1, yay for the defense. Yes?
Okay, so if I'm sitting here as declarer, and the queen of spades is led, I decide to win with the ace, and I see the 9 come down from the you guy. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, all right, so the partner has the jack and the 10, and I'm missing the ace, I'm missing the queen of hearts. When I win that ace of spades, would I not try the jack and finesse?
It's quite possible. And if you play the jack, the East is going to cover with the queen, because they have the 10, okay? All right? But now you have to get back over there, and they will get their 10 instead of their queen.
Got it. So either
I'm
way.
sure when they set this hand up, they did that.
Okay.
To just promote covering honors, which we did in the last chapter. Yeah.
When the guy takes the ace of diamonds, does he play the highest, the jack of spades, or does he lead low to your encouraged king? Or does it matter?
It doesn't make
Is there
any
thought
difference.
process
As long as he continues spades, that's perfect. And he could certainly lead the 6 to the king too, because you've encouraged, you don't encourage for a reason. But there's no harm for him playing the jack either. As long as he continues spades, you're good. Okay? Does that make sense? I mean, when you first lead it, he could, well, we'll get to other ones. But again, it's the spades, and that's the point here. And if you say, look, it doesn't make any difference, you're going to only get 2 more spade tricks, and that's it. Okay. And I. Since diamonds. Right? By leading low to him and putting him on so that but there are times when you would play you can get that down. We're just doing so good. Even notices, you know, so I'm telling you, your scores will go up. So, and so you can see what where it's different. But this okay? You play on the king and important it is to put the 2 on. Now you're correct? Does everybody? But you were entitled. Right? Well, before on the second time anyway, right? You wouldn't hold up more than once. All right? And seeing that the king and the queen are in dummy, there's really no point to hold it up anyway. They've got all those trumps, they can get there. Okay? So you're gonna play your ace of diamonds. Now, on the first trip, because we have to remember, way back to the first trip, our partner said they did not like spades, correct? So we're not gonna continue spades, even though that was our initial thought. Because our partner said no, and we listened to our partner. If you listen to your partner and your partner tells you correctly, you will do well. You will. All right? So let's see. So we're not gonna lead trump because we don't have any more. We're not gonna continue spades because partner said no and we trust him. Doesn't do us any good to lead another diamond because the king and the queen are in dummy, right? So maybe we'll try a club. And this is the thought process that you want to go through as a defender. Remember, defense is fun. It really is. Take my word for it. But you have to actively play at it. So we're going to switch to a club. All right, so we decided we're going to switch to a club. Now go back to our leading, because now we're back into the leading part of our defense. What card do we play?
10?
The 10. Top of our sequence. Okay? And look at the difference. If we had played the 7, right, and they play low, our partner can win the ace, but then cannot continue this suit without giving a trick to the declarer, right? If we play the 10 and they play low from dummy, is our partner going to play the jack?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Two.
No, because we want our partner, the west person, to remain on lead. All right? So we will put the 2. Now, does that mean it's discouraging? Well, let's think about it. If our partner led the 10 and it won, do you think they can figure out maybe to continue? Maybe? Right? All right? You have to remember, it's not all about signaling, it's also about breakdown. Okay, if your 10 wins, this might be a good suit for defense. Okay, so when the 10 wins, we will continue with the 9 because it worked so good the first time, all right? Now our partner can play the jack because they have to, right? And then play the ace, capturing the king. So you see how important that was. So it's not just signaling, but it's also going back to the other chapters about leading, all right? It all works together. It's cool, right? It really is. Okay, I'm sorry, but it really is. Okay, let's see, where am I? Okay, when to signal. Okay, well, you're always signaling, first of all. I'm on page 187 now. And your partner, let's see, they're in a no-trump contract, and your partner led the queen of a suit. Okay? So we know they don't have the king, correct?
Yes.
So we all know who has the king, right? I mean, we being the you person who is sitting east. Okay? So now, do we want... So what did our partner lead from then if they had the queen and they weren't a no-trump contract?
Jack.
Jack 9.
Jack 9, right? They can't have the 10, but because we have the 10. But they would lead from what's called a broken sequence. Queen, Jack, 9. Okay? All right. So do you consider this a good lead? You as the you person sitting east. Do you have any help in this suit?
Well, you can promote your
10 is kind of important, isn't it? The 10 is a kind of important card when your partner led from Queen, Jack, 9. All right? So this would be something we do have some help in. If our partner gets in, now we don't have the king, but our 10 will force out declares known king, because we know our partner doesn't have it, right? And then we will still have one when we get in again or somehow to lead it back to our partner. Does that make sense? So the declarer between himself and dummy is always entitled to 2 tricks in this suit. They have the ace and the king. They're going to get 2 tricks. But if our partner continues this suit, we should be able to promote with the 2 of us a couple more tricks, hence the jack and the 9. All right? So when he plays the queen, if declarer plays the ace from dummy, we would still put the 7 on because we have help in the suit. The 10 is a very important part. It fills in a sequence. And it's strong enough to force out declarer's king and to promote the other tricks for our side. Remember, we're the good guys. We being defense. Okay? So what you're doing is you're thinking about, and this is something very important, you have to think about what your partner's lead means. Okay? Because it'll mean something different in suits than it will in no trump. But not just remember what card it is, but what it means. If I lead the queen, I got the jack, more likely the 10, right? If I lead the ace, I should have the king, right? Okay. So thinking about those things, when you make, if I lead the 8 of something, means I don't have anything in here, I had to lead, otherwise I'm in trouble, so I led something, but I didn't want to. So in other words, don't return it, okay? Think about what the lead means, all right? Okay. All right, so take a look at the top of page 188. Now here's a good example, and again, it's defensive thinking, and not just about getting one trick, because getting one trick is always nice, but the goal on defense is to set the contract, not just get one trick. So let's take a look at this one. So the contract is 4 hearts, okay, by South here. And at some point, our partner has bid a diamond. All right, so we're on lead. So what card are we gonna lead against 4 hearts when our partner has bid a diamond and then they got 2 hearts? And they- We gonna lead it? We gonna lead our partner's suit? Yeah, right. We have no reason not to. Correct. What card are we gonna lead in our partner's suit? Well, no.
Oh, that's me.
We're west. We're west. We're on lead and west. We would lead the ace. All right. Now, normally we don't lead the ace without the king, but this is different. We're leading our partner's suit. This is not our choice of what to lead. Our partner suggested it when they bid it. All right. So we are going to lead our partner's suit. We never lead low away from an ace on the opening lead in a suit contract, ever. Don't do it. Doesn't work. All right? So you would play the ace. Okay, now take a look at East, which is the you person. Do you want partner to continue with the diamonds?
Yes.
Think again.
You're gonna get trumped, aren't you?
No. No, you're gonna get 2 diamond tricks. But think about, no, again, there is 4 hearts, okay? And this is a very common occurrence, and that's why I absolutely love this hand. I absolutely love this hand. Because our first thing is, well, we want our partner to continue diamonds, right? Because then we'll get our king of diamonds.
Yeah, but spades are better to be led to.
Go to the spades. Okay. But if we get in with our king of diamonds,
Then what?
are we gonna set the contract? No, because that's one trick. We need 4, right? Our partner's ace was a good one, but again, take a look at dummy. Do you see how declare is gonna play it? They're gonna pull trump, right? And then they're going to be able to play the clubs and discard their losers, and they will make it. They will end up losing probably a second diamond, but they will discard all their spades, right? Because they're going to pull trump, which comes out right away. They're going to play the 10 of clubs, high card from the short side. They're going to play over to their ace, and now they've got the king and the queen and the jack of clubs, which are good tricks, and they're there. So what are they going to do? They're going to discard all 3 of those spades. And they will then have lost, eventually they'll lose 2 diamonds, and that's it. Does everybody see that? That's the declarer's plan. We're defense. Okay? We can see those beautiful clubs in there saying, uh-oh, there's some good tricks gonna go on those, aren't they? All right? So we can get our king of diamonds, but what do we really need? We really need 2 spade tricks in addition to our king of diamonds. That's going to be how to set the contract, right? So even though we have the king and the queen of diamonds, we do not want our partner to continue diamonds. What do we want him to switch to? A spade. All right? So how would we tell him that? Well, first of all, we can only tell him whether to continue or not to continue diamonds. That's all we can tell him on the first trick. So what card do you play a trick to?
The 2.
The 2. I mean, trick 1, I'm sorry. Then you want to play the 2. Partner, I would really prefer if you do not continue diamonds. Now your partner should be paying attention and say, well, he told me not to. Okay. So let's see. Well, I'm not going to lead a club because that's kind of silly, right? He said not to continue diamonds. Hearts is trump. Not going to lead that. That doesn't really help me anything. So let's try a spade, right? And we would go through that process because our partner said not to do diamonds. We have to say, okay, all right, I'm going to trust him. He said no diamonds, I'm going to switch to something, and I'm going to go through my possibilities and come up with what I hope is the right one. Now, it's not guaranteed, but that's all you can do is try, right? So we're going to switch to a spade because as King Lil, our partner, opened, he might have the ace of spades, right? So we will switch to a spade. We'll take our ace of diamonds, and now trick 2, we're gonna switch to a spade. Once again, back to leading. What card do we lead? The 10, top of our sequence, right? So we will lead the 10 of spades. Now, our partner knows, our partner being the you person sitting in East, that we do not have the jack, correct?
Yes.
Okay. They don't really care. Okay? But they know because you led the 10 that you do not have the jack. So you lead the 10. Now, whether declare plays the king or the 6, does it make any difference?
No.
Nope, because you got them both. Okay? So if he plays the the king, you're going to play your ace, the queen, and then your king of diamonds. Down 1. Declare didn't do anything wrong. They were in the right contract. Defense played well. You notice the difference if you continue diamonds, right? He'll win his king, but now what does he do? He can't do anything. He can take his ace of spades, but that's only one trick. Then that if you take your ace of spades, the king is good. So the switch to the continuation of the diamond really hurt. Okay? Does everybody see that? I bet I'm guaranteeing you didn't think of this before. All right? Or most people haven't. Yes.
You know what's you struggle with is trying to play in a reasonable amount of time and process that data that quickly.
Yes,
And
I
realize,
know.
oh, I should switch to spades. Looks like your diamonds are a slam dunk. And then
Right.
it's just hard to, people are like, come on, you hurry up. play the
Well,
card."
don't let anybody hurry you. I mean, especially if you're playing on a Tuesday, which is why I encourage people to come on a Tuesday, because we don't hurry people, because I want you to get these good habits in. When you're playing party bridge or with some of your friends, they just have to be a little patient, or you're just gonna not do good defense. Okay, patience is hard, but it is something to practice. And again, if you don't practice these skills, you won't get faster. All right, it's the same thing with making a plan. I'll make a plan a lot faster than most of you will, right? Well, I've been doing it a while. It didn't come, I didn't start out that way. I was the one who couldn't remember my plan at trick 2. All right, but you work on that, and it does get better, yes.
So I was just gonna comment that when the dummy comes down and I'm sitting in the youth department,
Mhm.
that's when the bells and whistles go off about the spades,
Right?
right? And
That
that's,
was finesse.
so you have, I'm with Debbie, I try to make a plan as a defender, which is like really suspect, but I try.
Well, that's all you can do is
But
start.
then when the dummy comes down, you kinda have to pivot sometimes.
Well, yeah, because again, when you make the opening lead, you haven't seen dummy,
Right.
okay? And if the king of spades wasn't in dummy, then you might not want a spade lead, so then you might encourage. So but again, it's about a plan, and you just the same way declarer can't make a plan without seeing dummy, because you have to use the 2 hands. The same with the defenders. The defenders are going to use dummy to make their plan. And again, it's not 100%. Sometimes you screw up, your partner switches to the wrong thing. You can't do anything about that. All you can do is try. But the difference here is seeing that getting your king of diamonds is not going to set the contract. And that's something that people fail to see. They get so excited. Oh, I got to tell him, I have the king, I got to tell my partner. No, you really don't. You really want him to switch to a spade. Okay? And again, it takes practice. You're not going to get it right away. I'm not saying you will. But if you don't start practicing now, you won't get it in 10 years either. You start practicing now, a couple years down the road, it's going to be like that. Okay. Okay, how high is high? Okay, so now we're on page 189. All right, now this is what we were talking about the last time when, how do you, show the cards if you don't have the card to show? Well, you can only do what you can only do, but you do the best you can. So for instance, on this particular one, your partner led the 5, okay? Declarer plays the ace from dummy. I'm on page 189 again, all right? You like this lead, correct? So you have to tell your partner you like this lead. What card are you going to play? The 4, right? It's the best you can do. All right? Now, as soon as you can, like if you're discarding another suit, you put the 2 of this suit out. So then your partner saw the 4 and the 2. Oh, the 4 was an encouraging one. Okay? Because if they don't see the 2, it's going to be hard for them to know that the 4 is actually, yay, partner. But you have to do the best you can. So when you're putting out one of those cards that you know that your partner's going to be like, I'm not sure, okay? If you can show them another card in that suit later on to kind of cement it. So you put the 4 on, because I'm doing my best. But now declare is playing some other suit, and you can discard, you put the 2 on, just a second. You put the 2 on, well now, if your partner's paying attention, they saw the 4 and then the 2, so they know the 4 was encouraging. So when they get back in, hopefully they will leave the king, and then it will lead back to you. Yes, Steve?
Another thing to look at is that card that declarer then plays. If you're not playing against a Grand Life Master, right? You play the 5, he calls for the ace from dummy, you play the 4. If declarer plays the 7, right, who has the 3 and the 2? Right? If declarer played the ace and dummy, you played the 4. If declarer had the 3 or 2, he would have played the 3 or 2,
More likely
right?
than not.
More than likely, right? So if it goes 5, ace, 4, 7, you don't have to wait for that second discard to think that that 4 is probably encouraging.
Right. Again, declarers have been known to false card, to give improper information, but at our level, not so much, because we just don't think of it, right? So that is a very good point, okay? But again, just to make it sure, if you could put that 2 out there for your partner to just give them a little more nudge, it does help. Anytime you can help your partner figure out what to do, this is a good thing, okay? All right, and if you take a look, it's kind of the same thing. At the bottom of page 187, you really don't like this lead, correct? All right, but yet what are you gonna play? The 7. So your partners might think that's encouraging, because the 7's pretty encouraging, right? So as soon as you can, where you can discard, put that 8 out there or that 9, so he knows that that 7 was the lowest one you have and you do not want it, okay? Again, you can only work with what you have. So you have, and that's why your partner has to look at it, and you have to try to give him more information as soon as you can. And also, it'll probably come up later on, but I do want to mention one other thing. As you start to signal, do not give away a trick to signal to your partner. All right? If you're trying to signal your partner, but it might give away a trick, don't do it. Tricks are more important than signaling. Partner has to be able to figure out something on his own. Okay? So don't give away a trick, because I used to have that when I first gave signaling. Some of my students would be like throwing all these good cards out. No, don't figure it out. Just say no to this one, you know? So again, that's something to think about. Okay. Page 190. Now here's a part of signaling that I think a lot of us probably do, the high-low when your partner leads the ace. A lot of us do that, right? Do we already know that? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, but you might not, all right? But this is what it stems from. It's just that people have known to do this without realizing that it's actually signaling, okay? Your partner has led the ace. Do they have the king?
Yes.
They better, right? Okay. So they have the ace and the king. All right, so they've led the ace, and if you take a look at page 190, you are at east. You want your partner to continue because they're in a suit contract, they're in spades, all right? And if your partner continues on the 3rd heart trick, you will be able to rough it, right? Because you only have 2. So you're going to give what's called a high-low. But you're also going to tell your partner on the 1st trick that you want them to continue this suit, okay? So when they lead the ace, declare calls for the 3 from dummy, you, sitting east, are going to play the 10. You get him 4 on there. You all seen it and you all done it. Pay attention to your partner.
There you go.
Of this class, seriously. When you accordingly, sing properly, yes. Two, three, four, you don't want him to continue it. But now the queen and dummy.
Had just the singleton. Keep leading the.
If he continues. I can't tell, it's one of my personal. Like, and then defender makes their contract, okay? So I'm gonna show you why, in a minute. So, now, for instance, let's say for instance, one heart, two hearts, okay? You know your partner's got three hearts, right? So if you've got five and your partner's got three, you know, or more, but you know they've got three, you can kind of get a count on how many everybody else has, right? Now let's take a look here, and we're gonna switch it to page 191, and this is where I'm showing you what I wanted to talk about, okay? Here, they led the ace, the same thing. Again, dummy and partner, north and west, are the exact same hands. The only ones that have changed are east and south, okay? So on this particular time, again, you're gonna lead the ace because that's what you're supposed to do, right? You took the class. This time, your partner puts on the four. They say, do not continue it, all right? So you should not continue it. You should switch to another suit. And what happens is, if you can see to figure out to switch to a diamond, you will end up setting the contract. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
But let's see what happens if you play the king. Okay? If you play the king and then another heart, what's going to happen? Well, the queen in dummy is going to win. Okay? And what they're going to do, declarer is going to discard one of their diamonds on that queen of hearts. Does everybody see that? So you still got your ace and king of hearts because you wanted them, right? But now, how many diamond tricks do you get?
Just one.
Just one. That's only three. That means they made. Okay? And all too often what's going to happen is on the king, this time it doesn't, but a lot of times the king will be played, it'll get trumped, right? Because declarer was the short one, all right? Now the queen is set up for that trick, and you didn't even get your king, all right? So that's why it's really important. You will see this, and I'm going to tell you that a lot of people, and I hear it a lot. I hear a lot. Well, I want to make sure I get my king, so I want to play it, you know. And they don't realize that they're shorting themselves by setting up the queen in dummy, or it's possible in the queen in their hand. You know, the declarer could have the queen in their hand. By playing that, you are setting up a trick for the declarer, and that's going to cost you as defense a trick. So that's why this is so important. Like I said, leading from the ace and the ace king is 100% one of the best leads you can make in bridge. Not a question. you know, on a suit contract, ace king, all right? But watching what your partner does and your partner signaling properly will help you whether you see that the contract is completely successful, all right? You will find examples of this. As you're playing, keep an eye on it. And you know, we have hand records here, whenever you play here. If you have, you know, on your score sheets, because we're all keeping score now on Tuesdays, circle that one and take a look at it and see how it plays when you have a chance. Because we have the hands, we have a hand record, so we know which ones we want to look at. Take a look at them. You'll be surprised to see the difference in defense. Yeah.
Why wouldn't the guy play the ace and the king, and then if he's discouraged by him playing the 4 first, think, okay, then probably the declarer's out, and switch to the diamonds at that point?
Well, it's possible he could. And in this particular case, it doesn't make a difference, but I'm going to tell you, all too often, it's actually going to be a little different down there, and we've got 1 heart in dummy, in declarer, and if you play your king, you will not get it. It will be trumped. So you've lost the king, which you're never going to get, but what you have done is promote the queen. So then he can pull trump before you have a chance to switch to the diamond. So in this particular case, you can say, no harm, no fail. But if he trumps it, it's a big fail. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to get you to see. Again, if he's got the hearts and your partner's got in, he will get in. He knows you've got the king. So let's say, for instance, you switch to a diamond, all right? He's going to take 2 diamond tricks, all right? But then he's not going to lead the diamond back because the king has been set up, but now he will return a heart to your, so you'll still get your ace and king of hearts, but this way you did it safely. Okay, so you can find an example. I mean, yeah, if you play your ace and king on this particular hand, but I'm going to tell you, if they trump it on the second one, you lost yourself some tricks.
So what we're trying to do is really keep them out of the lead till we can set up our hand and then go get the king.
Well, it's just that because getting the ace and the king is 2 tricks. You need 4 to set them in a 4-hearter.
Right, we need both of them.
Right. Well, again, if he's got a singleton and dummy and declarer, if he's got a singleton and declarer, you're only going to get one anyway.
Right.
The difference is, does the dummy's queen become a good trick?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so let's just assume, just assume it was here, and this guy has a singleton. Okay, let's give him an extra club. So let's just say he's, just read that hand off, will you? It's ace, king, something, something, something. Let's get him a singleton here. He's got jack here, and then he's got the rest of it. Let's just put something like this. Something like this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1 six of cards. Oh, he's got, I'm looking at the wrong hand. That's why Queen 7, 6, 2. And I was looking at the wrong hand. Okay. Okay, something like that. Okay? So if you play the ace and a dummy was queen with a little of hearts, right? If you play the ace, he's going to play this. Your partner discourages. He puts the 2 or something on, right? If you play the king, well, now declare's going to trump it. Okay? But this queen is a perfectly good trick. So now he can put on this queen after he pulls trump, because he's got enough trump back and forth. He'll go over there, play this queen, and he will discard one of your diamonds. Or something else, you know what I mean? I don't have it's not the exact hand, you know what I mean? But in theory, this is what happens. And this happens a lot. And all people who are playing will see is whether they got their ace and their king and have absolutely no knowledge of the trick they lost by setting up the queen. They don't see it because it's not right there.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, exactly, all right? All they know is they got their ace and their king, all right, without realizing that the queen is now going to discard something, and that trick is, you know, again, give them something like, give them something like this, you know what I mean? Like, if they've got ace this, and they've got 3 little diamonds up there, if they get back up there, they can now discard this little diamond trick on the queen, and then they lose no diamonds. Okay? It's these type of things. Again, I'm just pulling this out of my hat, so it's not a perfect example. But it's just to give you an idea, and you don't see it. You won't realize it. More expert peoples will. Like, as soon as I see somebody doing that, and my queen is set up, I'm like, well, I just made my contract. You know, because I got a discard now. All right? Okay? It's just something to keep in mind. But this is a very important thing. Okay. Let's take a look now on 192. Okay, so now we're on defending against a no trump contract. Our partner led the ace of hearts, and they're in one no trump. Okay. Now they're in the ace. Now, if we were in a suit contract, let's say we were in some kind of a suit, and our partner led the ace, what would we play? What would we play on trip one? If they're in a suit contract, let's say they're in spades or clubs or diamonds or something like that. They're in a suit contract. The 9. We would want to encourage, because they're in a suit contract. We've only got 2, so when our partner plays the king and then they plays another one, we can trump it. So in a suit contract, we would play the 9 because we want to encourage our partner. But this is a no trump contract, so now the contract's different. Lead's the same, except this time in a no trump, our partner should have the queen as well, right? Because you lead a sequence of 3 in no trump. You only need 2 in a suit. Does everybody remember that? So they're going to play the ace. So this time we have no help for them in this suit. Do we agree? So now this time we will play the 5. Because partner, we got no help from you. Got no help. He doesn't really care. He's going to keep going. But now he knows that we have no help. Does everybody see that? He's still going to play the king and the queen because he's got a sequence of 3, and that's a pretty nice sequence. All right? And when everybody follows, he will be able to get the first 5 heart tricks. Do we all agree? Okay. So once he finishes his hearts, he's going to switch because he's got no hearts left. Right? So what suit he switches to might be important. Hopefully it is. Okay? So this is your opportunity now to give your partner some help. So if he plays the ace, the king, where you played the 5 and the 9, he's going to play the queen. Now you're going to discard. So with, So when you're going to discard, the first opportunity when you discard. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you're signaling on defense for discarding, it's only your first discard that really counts. Okay? Because after that, you just start to have to discard something. Okay? So the first one is the one that really counts. Okay? Because after that, you start to have to discard a lot, and it gets a little harder. All right? So on the Queen of Hearts, you are going to discard. What card do you think you might want to discard? The 9 of diamonds. The 9 of diamonds. Again, remember, high encourages, low discourages. Okay? So if we put the 3 of diamonds on there, what we're saying is, partner, don't switch to a diamond. You don't want that. Okay? All right? So what we want to do is, we want to say, partner, I want a diamond. Because look, you can see, you being the East person, can see the king of diamonds and dummy, right? And you would really prefer to get a diamond lead. Now look at it from your partner's point of view. Diamonds and clubs are exactly the same. So what suit they lead after they finish the hearts, crapshoot for them, right? They don't know. So it's really important that you give them some help. So after they play their 5th heart, they're going to now lead a diamond because you told them to with your 9 of diamonds, right? What diamond are they going to lead? It does make a difference. The 8. And when I say it makes a difference because you should get in the habit of always leading the right card. Whether it makes a difference this time or not, always lead the correct card because your partner should always be watching. All right? And while it might not make a difference to you on this hand, it will on another. So if you get in the habit of discarding or leading all the time the proper card, it will become second nature. It will. And you will have a partner who's very happy because they can trust you. And when you can trust your partner, man, that's just great. That's just great. And even when you can't at the beginning, you work on it and we work together so that you can. Because when you can trust what your partner's telling you, man, you do really good. And it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. When your partner gets a little mixed up, you will not have a successful time, but that's when you work on it and say, oh, I thought you'd signal this, and they're like, oh, shoot, I signaled wrong. All right? But you will make mistakes, but you will improve too. All right? Yeah.
Should you always, when you're discarding
If there's a real reason that you want to encourage, yes, okay? Sometimes, in order to encourage, you will end up giving up a trick that you don't want to, so then you have to discourage. So again, in order to signal, don't give up a trick, okay? So, you know, but yeah, encouraging is usually easier because it gives them, it's this one, not this one, so now you have a choice of two. Okay? So the 9 of diamonds kind of puts it in his face, I want a diamond, okay?
What
And
diamond would you, the partner, between the 8 and the 7?
I would lead the 8 because I have a doubleton.
Okay.
Again, you're not going to get trumped, but again, when you've got a doubleton and you're going to lead that suit, you lead the top of your doubleton. Okay? All right? Okay, so does that make sense? So it's putting this all together, and it really does work well. But again, it takes practice. It's not going to just happen. All right, so take a look at page 193, and they give you some examples of attitude signals that you can make. And again, this is a no-trump contract. On the first one on page 193, your partner leads the 4. All right? What card do you play? We're going to assume dummy plays the ace. You're going to play the 8, right? Encouraging. Now, let's say that they call for the 5 from dummy. What card do you play?
Queen.
The queen, third hand high. All right? So it changes depending on what card was from dummy. All right? When they play low, you're going to play third hand high because that's your job. You can't signal, you're going to play it. If they play the ace, well, you're not going to win the trick, so now it reverts to a signal. Okay? Does that make sense? That might be a little confusing at times, but again, you practice, you will improve. All right? This time, the next one, second one on the page, they've led the king. Okay? Again, this is a no-trump contract, so they have the queen and either the jack or the 10, right? But they do not have the ace. We don't really care because we don't like it, correct? So what card do we play? The 4, right? Okay? So you can see how you're talking to your partner. Now the next time, they've led the king, aces and dummy, you have the jack 5 too. Again, we're in a no-trump contract. What card do you play if dummy plays the ace at trick 1? The 5, correct. You want to encourage. Because you know your partner led from the king, queen, and he doesn't have the jack, so he led from king, queen, 10. Because you don't lead from king, queen in a no-trump contract unless you got the 10 or the jack, right? Okay? All right. They led the 4, okay, on the bottom one now. They played the ace. What would you play? You would play the 6, right? If they played the 2 from dummy? The queen. Now, let's say, for instance, I want to go right back to that one above it. If they played the king, let's say that dummy plays the 3. They don't take the ace right away. What card do you play now?
2, 5.
You still play the 5.
He's just ducking.
Yeah, he's ducking it, but you want to let your partner know that this is a good lead. Okay? Now, it might be hard for him to see that the 5 is a positive, but it's the best thing you can do. You don't want to throw the jack out there. Okay? All right?
Debbie?
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
So if it's a no jump on this one, I just want to verify. So if your partner leads the king,
Mhm.
and they play the ace, you encourage with the 5.
Mhm.
And now Parker gets back in.
Mhm.
If he plays the queen, you would throw the jack underneath it to unblock?
Yes, you would. We haven't really got to unblocking yet. That's in a future chapter, but yes. Okay?
But for your choice, you don't need the king unless you have a sequence of 3.
Right. So because we have the jack, we know our partner led from the king, queen, 10, a broken sequence.
So it can be a broken sequence, it doesn't have to be.
Right. It wouldn't be king, queen, 9. That is not a broken, that is king, a broken sequence is missing one card in your sequence. And if you forgot, we did cover that in one of the earlier, so you can take a look.
So if it was
Oh, okay.
king, queen, 9, what should partner lead then?
If king, queen, 9,
Yeah.
he would lead the king,
Top.
top of a broken sequence. Oh, he had king, queen, 9, he didn't have the 10? Oh, we'd probably lead 4th down. Yeah. Again, when you lead a top, it's a top of a sequence. So if he had king, queen, 10, that's a broken sequence. You're only missing the jack. King, queen, 9, no. You have to lead a low one. You probably have 4 of them, leave the 2 or whatever your fourth one down. Okay? Okay. All right, the next few pages are about count. All right, now feel free to read this if you have an interest. Again, I am not going to go over it too much because, again, it's been my experience at this point, just paying attention to what card we're playing and having our partner look is sufficient to improve our defense up the wazoo, okay? Count requires how you discard, and it requires you discard in a certain order to give your partner a knowledge of how many cards you have in that suit. Very confusing, very difficult. I was actually in a seminar on defense with Larry Cohen. I don't know if any of you know him. He's a really funny guy. Anyway, he used to be friends with people that owned one of the clubs I used to play at, and he would come and give seminars quite often there. And one of the defense was he was talking about signaling and stuff, and he said count, and he said, let's just leave that for another day. He said, we've got more important things to deal with. So when I said that, I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about it, and I haven't. So there you go. All right, so just to let you know, that's what it is. Some of the real experts definitely do it, and you know, when we get to that level, we can do it too, but I don't want to deal with it right now, okay? So the next few pages, which is page 194 through the top of page 201. If you would like to read it, it's fine, feel free. But again, I really wouldn't worry about it at this stage. We have just much more important things to do, okay? All right, so we talked about attitude signals. We're not talking about count. And now we're going to talk about suit preference, all right? Suit, oh, I got to talk. Okay, well, we already did all the review at the beginning. That's why I'm behind. Okay, all right, so the suit preference signal. All right, well, we talked a little bit about, you know, signaling to our partner when to continue and when not. That's attitude. Sometimes you need to know if you're going to switch, what suits to switch to. All right, and what happens all the time, and I'm going to show you page 202. Let's take a look at 202. All right, they're in a four-spade contract, and you as West are going to leave the ace of hearts. Do we all agree? That's a pretty good one. All right, dummy comes down and you're dashed. All right, bummer. Do we all agree we're probably not going to leave the king? Do we need our partner to tell us that? I don't think so. I think we can figure that one out on our own, right? So now, instead of whether to encourage whether to continue the suit or not, because it's kind of obvious, our partner can do something else. He can say, okay, we know you're not going to continue the hearts, because that would be silly. So I'm going to tell you what suit to switch to. And if you take a look, conveniently, both diamonds and clubs are exactly the same. So just going by our hand alone, it's a crapshoot on which suit we switch to. Do we agree? I mean, we're probably not going to switch to spades because I don't think that's going to achieve anything, right? Okay, so we're going to switch to one. So it makes a difference, if you can see the whole hand, which one we switch to, club or a diamond, right? If we switch to a diamond, that's pretty good for declarer, I think. If we switch to a club, not so much, right? But how do we know which one? All right, so on this one, when you play the ace, your partner, East, knows you're not going to continue with hearts, so he's going to give you a little help in telling you which suit to switch to. He's going to put the 3 of hearts on. Now, he's not going to put the 3 of hearts on just because I don't care, I'm just going to just, you know, whatever, you know. No, he's giving you a signal because every time you play a card, you're talking to your partner. So if he plays the 3, that same partner switched to the lower of the other suit. 3's low.
So it would be clubs.
So it would be clubs. Okay? Now, if we had the ace, queen of diamonds, we would not want our partner to switch to a club, so we'd put the 10 of hearts up there. Why would It's not going to do us any good. 10, 6, something high. And your partner is going to say, that doesn't suddenly mean continue with the king, because it's obviously you're not, right? But what it's going to say is, okay, I'm going to switch to the higher. So I will play a diamond. So you, sitting East, are telling your partner, are giving help to your partner on, okay, we know we're going to switch off of hearts, because that was a one-trick pony, right? So what we will do is we will tell our partner, if we care about one of the other suits. Now, sometimes you don't have nothing. Sometimes you just have nothing, and you just have to give your partner just a 6 in something and just have them be very confused because you have nothing to say, okay? But this is defense class, and we have something to say, all right? And we really care whether he switches to a diamond or a club. Do we all agree?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we will tell him to switch to a club by playing the 3 of hearts. Now you can see what a difference this makes if you play the 3 of hearts no matter what card you care, no matter what you do, right? Because that's not, if you just play the 3 of hearts because, well, it's the lowest heart I got, well, that's not using your ability to tell your partner something, right? And I'm going to tell you, and you know it, every one of you, before you took this class, would put the 3 of hearts on there, correct?
Yes.
Because, right? But now you know that this is your opportunity to talk to your partner. Work with them, okay? So now that 3 of hearts is not just the 3 of hearts, that's the 3 of hearts. And it means something, okay? All right? I put a little bit into it, but I know, but I really get into this, I'm sorry. But it really does make a difference, okay? So, but it's really important that your partner pays attention to what card you play and does it accordingly. So let's say, so you put the 3 of hearts on, so they're like, okay, I think my partner told me to lead a club. So I'm going to lead a club. What card are you going to lead? The Jack, the top of your sequence, right? So now we've done our signaling, now it goes back to leading. Pretty cool, right? Okay? Right, yes?
Is it always the minors you're signaling?
No, it could be, let's say, for instance, if they might be in a diamond contract, so then it would be, whatever the suit is, not counting trump.
Okay, right,
Not
not
counting,
counting
because
with the
trump is their suit, they're gonna
Gotcha.
play it anyway.
Right,
Yeah, so it's the other 2 suits.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's take a look at page 203. Another good example of, and this is another example of using our signaling, which I bet you didn't think about before, but this is a fun one. Okay, they're in 4 spades. Okay, they belong in 4 spades, pretty nice fit. Okay, they're in 4 spades, so what would you lead, you being the West person, against 4 spades? I think my singleton too, we can hope, right? Remember, they're not in 6, so our partner should have something, because again, we've only got 3 points. They are not in slam, which means our partner has some points. Do we all agree? Because on the defensive points, it's not me, it's my partner, right? Okay, so we can hope that our partner has the ace of diamonds, we hope, right? So we lead the 9 of diamonds. They play whatever. Our partner plays the ace. Oh my gosh, this is exciting. Now you led the 9, which is usually top of nothing, but I think because our partner has 6 diamonds, that he might think that could be a singleton. Do we agree? Right? So if he's going to lead you back something for a ruff, he's going to also tell you how to get back to him so he can give you a second ruff. Right? So let's see how this works, okay? So you play the 9, he's going to play the ace. Now, you're going to get a ruff because he's going to lead you a diamond back and you're going to trump it. But does it make a difference if you lead a heart or a club back to him when you trump?
Yeah.
It does, right? So he's leading you a card back to ruff. He's now going to give you some help, because again, we're working together, and tell him, well, if there's any chance of getting a second ruff, this is what I want you to lead to me.
You're gonna leave it to 4.
He's going to lead the 2 of diamonds, not just because it's the 2 of diamonds, but because he's trying to tell you, you can get back to me. And again, it's not 100% perfect, but you've got to try, right? So by leading the 2 of diamonds, he's now telling you, try a club. Try a club. I know, right? But it's cool. It really does work. Now, sometimes you're never going to get back to him, and you're going to get the 1 ruff, and that's it. But you got to try, all right? And when this works, and I've actually done this scenario in a game, it is a lot of fun. It really is. You know, they're down before they even get in, you know? And they're like, well, we had all the points. Yes.
I've read somewhere else, and I see it here too. It's really important that both partners understand that they can't be leading diamonds back to you again, so it's obvious obviously a suit preference signal,
Yeah,
right? I mean, so that's a really, it says that in the second sentence under finding an injury.
yeah. Well, you know, it's a singleton, so he can't read a Diamondback, I'm not sure. Oh, you mean by the low saying I have something in this suit, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right, yes, that's correct. You're assuming when you're leading it back, especially because you can see King Jack on the board, that he's not leading, you know, the 9, we're hoping it's a singleton. All
So
right?
if you wanted hearts, you would have led the 10.
Exactly. If I had the ace of hearts instead of the ace of clubs, I would lead the 10 of diamonds back, saying, partner, return to me the higher suit, which is the hearts, and I will get in and give you another ruff. So whether you lead, which diamond you lead is giving your partner some information on when he ruffs, what to lead back to you. Does that make sense? Again, signaling is so much fun, but you both have to pay attention and you have to think about it, okay? And again, these are perfect examples, all right? You don't always, all too often, partner, the East guy only has 1 ace, you're never getting back into him again, but you still have to try. And if you work on it every time, the times when it does work will be so wonderful, because you will be the ones to set the contract and everybody else will make it, which is very fun, okay? All right, make sense? Okay, does anybody have any questions? The next part of it is all about, for most part, is about reviewing the bidding, which we also did a little bit at the beginning, so that's why we got there. So I'm ready to do some hands unless anybody has some questions. No? Okay. All right, can you guys kind of find yourselves at one of the other tables, and we'll bring hands out here? Well, no trump, you're not gonna be getting roughs. So no trump, you're just,